Hiya Kenny, lovely to spend some time with you on the range and do a little bit of work on your game. Covered a couple of topics. Main one with driver was to consider whereabouts on the club face you're striking the golf ball. Ball struck out the heel will tend to curve more to the right than your swing would suggest. Balls it out the toe would tend to curve more to the left than your swing would suggest. The key thing that we want to improve in regards to your swing is the stability of your hip girdle or your pelvis on the way back. Highlighted that in the red. The centre of the hips at setup, or the centre of the pelvis at setup, will tend to be in the centre of the stance. And what all good players do during the downswing is they move the weight forward by the movement of the pelvis. So the pelvis goes from the red line at setup to the yellow line coming into impact. And then if we run that through, once the club starts to get released through the angles in the wrists and the arms, the club tends to hit the ground directly underneath the location of the centre of the pelvis. So the weight moves forward through the hip by the linear movement of the pelvis from the top of the backswing down and through impact. So that move where we move the pelvis forward is it's a pivotal move in the golf swing, and it can be quite challenging and difficult for a lot of golfers. What can make it more difficult is if the pelvis sways out away from the target too much. So ideally what we'd want to try and create is what we showed you with the model swing, where the centre of the pelvis is more stable. We're turning the hips on a tilted angle, and we want to keep that turn nice and stable during the backswing. Here we've put a cane on the ground just inside your left heel. And the advice we've given you here, or the task we've given you here, is to feel like during the backswing you turn over the top of that orange cane. When you do that, the pelvis is more stable. There's still a little bit of drift late in the swing, but nowhere near as much as before. And you were far more stable for longer during the backswing. So here the hips and the pelvis are swaying off the ball very, very early and throughout the backswing. The move then trying to get across can be mistimed, can become quite chaotic. Whereas here we're stable for longer, and therefore that move across isn't as pronounced and isn't as difficult to coordinate. So a lot of this is about making your swing simpler, not necessarily changing a great deal. You did talk about getting the swing to feel deeper. One of the things that's typical of someone whose swing gets too upright is their arms lift off the rib cage. The top of the backswing, keep the shirt sleeve of your right arm trapped against your side, and you should have no problems keeping your swing on plane. Well done. I look forward to future sessions